This past year, 2020, is in my lifetime the strangest year. When I was younger, I was told by my older sister and at that time my high school age uncle that my seventh grade school year, a mixture of my years 2017 and 2018, would be the strangest and most decisive year of my life until adulthood. And I have found that this year it has been harder for me to find more motivation for even the simplest in contrast to my seventh grade year. I feel that the reason for this is the COVID-19 pandemic and the US presidential election. The combination of these two major events occurring at the same time has affected everyone, not just Americans, but peoples all over the world. In the normal 4-year cycle for an exchange or no exchange of the presidential office, we still see major uproars of people fighting to have their voices heard. This is always a major increase in support for groups like Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, and women's rights organizations that seem to just have their support disappear once the election is over. Throughout my lifetime, whenever we have our presidential election, major support for these groups explodes across social media and news platforms that was not there before. These groups are used to bash down the opposing view and has a lasting effect towards the election. After they serve their purpose, support for these groups just diminish and very so rarely, if ever, come up throughout non-election years. Even though their support is gone, there is still an effect to the most influential country in the world, the United States of America. This past year especially has left our great country divided and on edge. Those who have opposing views are pushing even harder to get rid of the other side of their argument. They are using means of bullying, trickery, false advertising, demonizing, canceling, social media blocking, withholding information, straightforward attacks, and backhanded attacks towards their so-called enemy to try and convince us, the American people, and the rest of the world that their point of view is the only correct one. But what these people and companies do not realize is that they are not just hurting those with opposing sides, they are hurting themselves, the ones they love, people that believe them, and the rest of the world. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they don't communicate with each other. This quote expresses the relationship between different news stations and political parties and reveals how they should try to properly communicate with each other and to try and understand one another. By bullying others, these people and businesses are putting those being bullied at risk of depression, which in lots of cases ends in suicide. Depression, a mental health disorder characterized by a persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life, as defined by MayoClinic.org. It is a very serious problem, especially amongst teens and younger adults in the United States. These programs also increase the risk for those people to be bullied, their followers, and people that feel the need to just put others down as they feel it brings them up, which then can create opportunities for those being bullied to become depressed. With the suicide rate already being the 10th greatest cause of death in America, causing approximately 123 deaths a year in America, information from Save.org, the bullying of others, especially on national news, will only cause this number to rise, instead of incentivizing people to help deplete these numbers. This data shows that we as an American people need to make a change in how we treat others. The abuse of support for major influential groups in every 4-year cycle isn't good, just like the fact that we need to inform political parties and news stations that they aren't just hurting the other side of the argument, and that they are bullying others on live television is irresponsible and dangerous. We as a people should inform these political parties and news stations of how they should change, and we should try to change ourselves while setting proper examples to those who look up to us. These news stations and political parties should be looking to change how they treat others with opposing views and should look to set a better example for those that follow what they do.